Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christy. I'm a therapist and a relationship coach, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering some of your questions from our followers, from my YouTube section, and from some of my DMs specifically because it's Men's Mental Health Month and I find the need to obviously clarify some of the questions that you've been giving me. And so I've chosen some of the most interesting questions that I get daily from some of my followers, and I have 10 of them here specifically. And so today it's your Q&A session with Christy, the therapist, the relationship coach. And what I'm trying to do here is genuinely trying to close the gap between you, relationships, and women in general by giving you some clarity, extra information, and extra knowledge to hopefully give you some more clarity as to how you should approach dating and relationships and truly find love, okay? Not trying to create a community of men who are not going to be accountable for their own behaviors, but also keep women accountable to their behaviors as well, okay? Both matter to have a healthy union. Okay, so let's get straight to the Q&A. And please, if you're new here and you like some of these topics, please do me a favor in support of mental health in general as a therapist trying to advocate and create a voice that is going to represent a bigger impact in our society, okay? Please do me a favor and press the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I hope answering some of these questions will help you today. Okay, so number one, username CL0685. How do we get modern females to understand what men go through on a day-to-day basis? Okay, so I'm gonna try my best to not put my therapist hat on, but men, you have to start talking about it, okay? You have to start telling your girlfriend, your wife, that you are struggling, that you didn't have such a good day, and that it's important for her to show up into your life and provide solutions for you, okay? What can she do to understand you a little bit more? By actually bringing these topics up and actually telling her, hey, I am strong, I have a huge warrior mindset, and I am go-getter, and I am extremely passionate with what I do every single day, but these are my struggles, and this is what I think are some marginalized concepts that I'm experiencing in the workplace and when I'm dealing with women in general, right? So start bringing some of your opinions up. Start talking about it, right? How do we get modern females to understand what men go through? Start talking about the crap that you go through, right? All I hear on social media nowadays when men are talking are essentially the things in which are almost representatives of themes that you're strong and that you're alpha and that you're resilient and that you're disciplined and that you're extremely dutiful. And by no means does talking about your struggles and your daily struggles and some of the things that you go through and the anxiety and the overthinking sometimes and the hurt and the pain that you've experienced with a man telling you that, hey, you know, suck it up, that's what men go through, right? That it wasn't a little bit hurtful, but also that you understand what that man was trying to tell you. Emotions are never one-sided. You can be hurt, but also be resilient at the same time, right? And so by telling the blunt truth of things and being more aware of where your emotions are genuinely coming from, that you are still strong, but in the strongest of warriors, right, comes a ton of pain and hurt and struggle that never gets revealed and never gets talked about, right? And so you are strong even though you are going through things sometimes. And I'm not telling you to start telling your deepest and darkest secrets to everyone, but the closest of people in your lives and the women specifically that you're taught biologically that you have to be strong in front of, and the women who are going to really want to be be supportive to you, will want to hear these stories to connect with you more. So how to get modern women to understand you, what the daily struggles of men is actually by, number one, start talking about it, and number two, changing the dialect specifically, that yes, you are able to achieve great things, right? And you are accountable to that, maybe even more to the women in your lives, right? Just because you're the breadwinner and just because you hold that identity as a man very close to you and you're very dutiful doesn't mean that you don't have your everyday struggles, right? Start expanding the dialect, start expanding the words that you choose to say, start expanding the details of the stories that you're choosing to present to your girlfriend and your wife and your children and your parents, okay? That you are strong, but through trying to win a war, you are going through moments of struggles and pains, and start opening that dialect towards that so that women can understand that, hey, you can do it, but oh, you have your struggles too. Right? So I hope answering this question answers you, right? It is your responsibility for people to understand you more. You have to start talking about it. You have to start opening the conversations up and communicating in a way that shows her the sides of you, the different sides of you, that you're not one-sided, okay? So to get women to understand you more, important to start talking about it and making women accountable, that they need to understand, although you're strong, right, you have your struggles, right? And they'll understand you more. All right, question number 2 from username official Pepoka. I don't know if I butchered that, okay? I'm sorry if I did. But it's been 6 months, but I still can't get over my ex and have trouble letting go. What can I do? So this is letting go is something in which a lot of probably 7 billion people on this earth face. It's the hardest truth, and I'm probably going to assume it's letting go of a connection or someone or a relationship in which you genuinely obviously had a lot of care and love towards, okay? Now, what I always want to say is it takes the bravest and most mature and emotionally aware of person and man to let go of something in which he knows it's not the right thing for him. Okay? It is so important to understand that although you shared a huge connection, that at the end of the day, you can still find out that it is not the right person for you, okay? A lot of the times when you're finding yourself sharing many moments, many experiences, many shared experiences, many memories, okay, with someone, that is very naturally going to create a connection, okay? A connection in which a lot of people on this earth will not be able to replace. No one in that context, no new person is going to be able to replace right away. And many times what you can do in order to let go is firstly understand that the time in which you shared together and experiences in which you shared together, the function of that exact thing was actually to create a connection, okay? It is very natural for it to do that. Don't blame yourself for wondering why it's so hard to let go. It was a beautiful experience at one point, right? But it's important to understand that that is not something at this moment of time, maybe even, right? That this connection has to end for you to open up space for someone and yourself even to create new memories and new shared experiences, and giving that opportunity for someone else to create the same story with you. I don't like the saying that time heals all. That's genuinely not true. If you are constantly having your head replay the memories and the shared experiences and the traumas and the conversations in which you guys share, that is like having your brain constantly replay that will, even with time, it's not going to go away. And so what I normally say is, yes, right? You shared a great connection. That's what shared experiences and relationships does to you. But it's also a very brave and courageous thing for you to actually admit to the idea and the truth that although this connection was a beautiful experience and you shared a ton of great memories, it is not the thing in which is going to give you the type of love and life that you want in the future, right? And so letting go is genuinely accepting that that was a beautiful experience, but it's just not enough. Maybe not right now. Maybe they're not the person in which has the capacity, or you're not the person in which has the capacity in terms of compatibility, whatever went on, right? But it is time for you to make space for you to be emotionally available to welcome something that is going, or someone, a woman or a relationship that is going to fulfill you in the way that you need to, okay? That's the only way to truly realizing why it's so important for you to let go and also start letting go, okay? The function of an ex or a relationship is to leave an imprint on you, okay? If you told me anything else, I would question your care and your attraction and your connection to her even. So yeah, you had a strong connection. Don't try to force yourself to forget it, right? That's not productive, but just know that that was a beautiful experience and it's time to make space for something more beautiful. Question number 3, Roger.9. What mistakes am I making that gets me friend zoned? Okay, this one's one that I always love talking about. Okay, there's one really blunt truth and some that are more nuances that people like talking about. So some blunt truth ones are, there are people and women out there that are going to put you in the friend zone without even having to talk to you, okay? And that can be as easy as the way you look, right? Your height, your physique, right? Things like that, right? That's how Hinge works, right? That's how dating apps work, right? It's either a physical attraction or not. And men, you do this too. So don't lie with me here. Don't say that, you know, that's such a shallow way of thinking, because men, you do it too, right? So that's the blunt truth of things, right? Women put men into friend zones easily because there's this concept in which women and men are just not physically attracted to each other, and no amount of convincing or what relationship gurus tell you can pull her over the edge or pull you over the edge even, right? And then the second one is, now I'm talking about the men who are working on his mission and he's working on his physique and he's working on everything that he needs to work on, but he constantly gets friend zoned with women that he genuinely wants to be with. Okay, now I'm talking about those men, okay? And what I'm trying to say is everybody has their market, right? So you need to know what your market is first. And then secondly is, if you know your market, now it's important to not be friend zoned with women that you're attracted to, okay? Once you're attracted to a couple ones. Now, okay, number 1, like etiquette and ethics and morals and being a gentleman is still extremely attractive. It's still extremely sexy. Please don't take this video and start being a douchebag and start thinking like, oh, you know, the bad boys and the men who are douchebags get all the women out there, right? Like, yeah, they manage to get the women who fall for those tendencies, right? Who like a toxic tendencies, right? Who are not emotionally aware and healthy in what they're trying to achieve in a relationship. You can be jealous of that. Most women in that aspect end up kind of waking themselves up, and then they have their own stories to tell, right? They finally learn like what is important in life, right? And so there's a level of truth to what they're doing that is a beneficial tactic. And what I mean by that is you have to understand that in early stages of dating, what's really important is that you're focused on the current moments of things, right? You're focused on not getting her, and you're not trying to get her to like you, and you're not trying to impress her, and you're not trying to do more in order to get more, right? You are having a judgmental hat on, and you are ensuring that you are still be a gentleman, but you're not focused on trying to get her to like you or trying to get her to talk to you more. You're making your intentions clear, and you're learning how to tease her, right? To talk about things almost in a sexual way, right? Kind of flirty, and you're not talking to her every single day like you guys are bestest of friends, right? Again, really important to know what your market is, right? And also, if you do find someone that you're both intimately kind of attracted to each other, or somewhat nuances of attraction, right? Don't voluntarily step yourself into the friend zone. Number 4, this one's a really funny one. How do I seduce my girlfriend to come back to me? I hate manipulative tactics. I hate quick fixes. I hate men who focus on false facades. So if that's what you're looking for, you're probably not going to get an advice from me. Okay, you can probably go to kind of other coaches out there or relationship coaches out there to tell you to do the toxic route of essentially like, oh, you're gonna flash your car and flash everything and like do things in a toxic way. But what I always want to focus on is to get a woman to regret losing you is you have to gain back the respect in which she never actually had for you. And what that normally means is she needs to feel like she's inspired by you by learning that there was an aspect of you that she never thought was there. And I'm going to go into detail about this, okay? So for instance, many times men, when you get into relationships, okay, and I've seen this with girlfriends as well, okay, so I'm not trying to like blame you, but man, when you get into relationships, you lose yourself. Okay, completely. You lose the beginning version of yourself. You also miss all of the time and opportunities in which you should have used to improve yourself, okay? So many times, okay, not only do you regress in your progression of your own passions and your missions and the things that you were passionate about doing, right? And the relationships and the friends. You also miss the crucial moments and months and years of time that you should have spent actually improving yourself. So in order to get a woman to actually regret losing you, it's actually by showing her a version of you that she never thought was there. It's the same thing though. Improving yourself, not only getting back the version in which you lost, but actually making up for the time that you lost in trying to improve the things that you wanted to do and needed to do to uplift your own life as a man, right? Will inevitably, as a byproduct, get her back and get the respect back and make her regret losing you. But again, I don't like using that for the focus of getting her back. But honestly, that's going to get her back, and it's going to get her to regret losing you. And a little resentment and vengefulness doesn't hurt anyone, but again, don't let that take over your brain, okay? Because your mental health is the most important thing. Number 5, why are women so controlling nowadays? Okay, so when I hear this question, it kind of breaks my heart because I essentially realize how traumatized this man has been or experienced in his life, because it seems like he's only dealt with and met controlling women, right? To have this question. That's number 1, okay? There are good people out there. There are good women out there. But there are bad people out there, and there are manipulative, tactical women out there, okay? And so it seems like you're just choosing the wrong women because either you're attracted to the wrong women's behaviors, you're letting beauty take over everything that is supposed to be more important into a relationship, right? Or one that is unpopular is that you being the common denominator of the experiences that you're experiencing every single day as a man, right? You are doing something or thinking in a way that is, you're getting the toxic versions of people, okay? And I'm going to be very, very sensitive in talking about this, and please be honest with me, right? There's a level of self-awareness and self-work that you need to do in order to understand if you're only getting controlling women in your life or receiving this type of behavior, are you the common denominator? If you haven't even experienced one or two or three really, really good, genuine people or women or girlfriends or exes, that's a major red flag, okay? I would say you're attracted to the wrong behavior and you let when you're attracted to and you're enamored by a woman, you let her bad behavior slide, right? And you're choosing to keep the wrong type of woman in your life. Or the more unpopular one again is you're doing something and you're thinking something and you're behaving in a way that brings out the worst in people. And that's not one that a lot of my clients like accepting. All I want to say is let's not have a victimizing mindset, but yes, we will put women accountable, but you need to put yourself accountable as well. Okay, question number 6. The Albert Stantos. Why do I long for a perfect relationship? Perfect equating to complete honesty both ways. Is that insecure? Very, very interesting question. Okay, so with this question, I had to look at it a little bit longer, but what I see essentially is perfect equating to complete honesty both ways, okay? The suit and pursuit of trying to be honest, hold your partner accountable for honesty. People will still mistakes. There will still be lies, right? There will still be deception of sorts, right? And so it's important that two people hold honesty to a high regard. And so if you're shooting for the stars, right, even if you miss, right, you're going to be close to it, right, is what I mean. But why do I long for the perfect relationship? Perfect being complete honesty. Again, breaks my heart because it seems like you hold honesty to a high regard, but you haven't been able to meet a partner who also shares the same values as you. And so what I want to say to that is honesty and wanting an honest relationship doesn't equate to a perfect relationship. Perfect, I would view as like you have all these lists and she can never lie. It's very ruthless, right? That's the theorized version of perfectness, right? And so what I'm trying to say is if you long for a perfect relationship and you're fair about it, right? Does that make you insecure? No, it doesn't. But it seems like your experience with women or your experience in even your childhood, even when it comes to themes of honesty, themes of vulnerability, even communication that is going to have a discussion on being vulnerable, right, and not being rejected was never really shown to you early on. And so that's why maybe you feel like having an honest relationship is not even achievable, right? And it makes you insecure. So I don't think it's an insecure requirement, right? And it's important for you to hold that standard close to your heart. Okay, question number 7. Jason Maps asked, if a woman turns you down, is there a chance for her to change her mind? Yeah, 100% actually. If a woman turns you down, there's 100% chance for her to change her mind. But you don't want to do anything that is with the pursuit of trying to change her mind, okay? More likely than not, you had an opportunity. Maybe you were a little bit anxious. Maybe there wasn't spark. Maybe there wasn't enough fun. Maybe you didn't think she gave you the opportunity that you deserved because you yourself didn't show up as the person that you wanted to show. You were a little bit nervous, you stuttered a bit, right? You were a bit awkward, right? You were too alpha, you were trying to be this great leader, you were a little bit egotistical seemingly, right? She got turned off, right? Women get turned off by everything, right? And that's why I always say just be authentic, fit in with a couple modern tactics of genuine dating tactics like feminine and masculine energy, right? Is extremely important, but don't fake it, okay? And so yes, you can change her mind, but don't do anything in the pursuit of trying to change her mind. Keep the social medias following each other, right? Let her view you, let her see the things that you're doing, and maybe you'll get like a, hey, you busy tonight, right? Want to go for a drink, right? Let her come to you now. She rejected you, right? Say goodbye to her, but keep the doors opened and let her make the move next time, okay? But don't over pursue. She rejected you, right? Move on. Key is don't take it personally. Question number 8. JC Man 04. Is a red pill community toxic? Absolutely. I see the red pill community extremely toxic, and the feminist extremists, liberal feminists, kind of like extremists. Okay, I love the movements. I love what they represent. They should represent, okay? But I see the extreme versions of it on social media be extremely toxic. I think it genuinely just indoctrinates young children and young teens with a very resentful and polarizing of our current society, which it just creates a bigger gap between people in general and men and women in general. And so I do believe it's extremely toxic now. Like, I want to be sensitive about saying that because there is a lot of truths that came out of the red pill community, and so with like the extreme polarizations of the feminist community. But what those are very triggering topics in which are going to drive debates, right? It's going to drive polarizing opinions are always the ones that drive the most exciting debates. But it doesn't really focus on, and everybody hates this, is the true accountability, hard work, determination, and tactics and strategies that are going to try to focus on healthier unions. Like, maybe you're wrong, red pill community, in some aspects, right? And also the feminist extremists, maybe you're wrong sometimes, right? And understanding and the pointing of fingers not only creates a very toxic competition between two communities, it's indoctrinating and infiltrating families and relationships and women and men, and how they should actually really, what's the most important things of life, which is honestly listening and understanding and having empathy for each other. Okay, it's important to have standards, right? But it's also important to know that, like, we have to do things together, right? Because relationships, having good, high quality relationships, what makes all of our mental health. And so without each other, we won't be able to achieve as much as we have today. And so if we're just constantly putting blame on each other, right? What are we just going to be? We're going to move to Mars and we're going to move to Earth, right? One stays in Mars and one stays in Earth, and we're just going to, like, what are we going to do? Clap our hands? Right? No, right? And so, yeah, I think it's very toxic. It doesn't create unity. It doesn't create intention, and it doesn't create healthy and beautiful relationships. And we all have our mistakes. We've been hurt, right? But we also have done hurt, okay? As a therapist, I see this all the time. We've hurt people and people have hurt us. In knowing that, that is what's important in actually having a long-term union with everyone in your lives. Number 9, John Pepper Merrick asked me, what style of therapy do I like using? So with a lot of my clients, I'm a very blunt. I think you can kind of tell when I even like talk. I really like to combine the blunt truths of what I say. So I never say things in which I genuinely don't believe in. And then I always try to get my clients to either tell me that I'm wrong or interpreting something wrong, but I try to say what's genuinely my experience and trying to challenge a lot of my clients, because number one, I'm very blunt and I like to challenge, because I think that's the most useful quality in which a therapist can give any of their clients in general. But a lot of the styles specifically, or the modalities specifically that I use, is ones that are really helpful for men are CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And if you want me to go over that really quickly and why that's really useful, honestly, it's useful for most people, but it's really useful for people who are analytical and logical, okay, and want to understand the meanings behind their behaviors specifically. So their thoughts behind behaviors and what they can do to why things happen in order to change certain behaviors, okay? And so why that is very important. That one's a really good one because most men just need to know the whys in order to form some solutions to their dysfunctions in life, okay? So CBT is a really great one. Solution-focused therapy specifically is also one that I use very often because 60 minutes, to be honest, goes by very quickly. And when it comes to men who in therapy or clients in therapy, and I work with a lot of essentially working age men, of course, right? And so 60 minutes is, although quick, it's hard to scrape out 60 minutes of the week in order to sit down with you. And so men want to be intentional with that time and look for solutions. And a lot of times my clients don't feel better by just talking about their problems or talking about their emotions or going on and on about the whys of things, right? What they genuinely want to do is look for tactical strategies and hypotheses and practices that they can actually test out in their everyday life after the session, and what I call solutions or possible solutions in order to see if that actually worked for them. And so what I focus on is I focus on problems and I focus on creating a couple solutions for it in a practical way so that we can understand whether or not after the session, after he has practiced it, that has worked out for him, okay? And so that seems to be the most productive with a lot of my clients because a lot of you already know that you had a toxic mother, right? You don't really need to constantly talk about it anymore, right? You just want to find a couple of possible solutions that you can test out in order to see if that's going to work out for you, or you stop attracting those toxic women that you're so heavily attracted to, right? So yeah, very last question. Risha Vibes, I think that's your name. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but girlfriends still talk to ex sometimes. How to set up boundaries peacefully. Okay, so this one kind of like hammers my heart a little bit. Why do you have to set a boundary peacefully? You set a boundary neutrally and in an assertive way. A boundary is a standard. And again, that's why I really don't like the word boundary. I think I've said this multiple times in my videos. Boundaries are kind of, oh, I'm gonna do this in a boundary. I'm gonna exert this boundary in hopes that like it doesn't hurt you, right? Because sometimes there's this like shameful or guilty feeling that a boundary is going to hurt someone, right? But no, boundary is a standard, right? And so it sounds like your girlfriend continues to talk to her ex sometimes because you feel some sort of way about it, right? And so you're questioning her level of respect towards you. You're questioning her ability to even delegate or set strict rules for the people she once was in a relationship with, right? And you're wondering now the capacity or the woman that you're sleeping with, right? Or the woman that you are falling in love with because you don't trust her, right? Because if she can do this, if she's doing this, and I can probably guess maybe you never talk to your exes anymore. But if you're the type of man that does, well, arguably, right, you've attracted a woman who also is okay with doing the same thing. I always say, right, practice what you preach. So you're not okay with it, well, you better not be doing it. And it's completely fair and understandable, completely without guilt or shame, for you to expect the same out of people. But if you're doing it and you're a coward about it, right, and you have double standards, right, that's not fair, right? And so change yourself before you change someone else, right? But given that if you don't talk to your exes anymore and you have clear-cut boundaries and clear-cut rules for how you end past relationships, and you're dealing with a girlfriend who's still talking to her ex, you simply exert a standard. I don't like dating women who are going to keep relationships or talking relationships with their exes. If you don't like that, right, you can leave, right? That is very, very understandable. Now, if you're fearful of losing her after you said that, that says something about you as a man though, right? Because it's important for you to not want to keep a woman, right, actually be hurt and completely in self-control of wanting to actually reject a woman who doesn't abide by your rules and standards. It's a hard thing. A lot of men say that is my boundary, but then you kind of like sweep it under the rug and not doing anything about it, or saying it a couple times, right? But not actually setting their ground straight, which is that is not something I'm okay with. Take it or leave it, right? I don't want a girlfriend who's going to do those type of things. If that's what you're going to do, right? That's not something I want. You're free to leave. But if you can't actually execute that action and really stay true to your rules, right? It says something about you, because you might not value yourself enough. And if you're flimsy about your rules or exerting your rules, of course she's gonna take advantage of you, right? Of course she's gonna continue talking to her ex. Like, why not, right? There's no punishment. And so yeah, I would say you don't have to set up a boundary peacefully. A boundary and a standard is a standard. It's something that people shouldn't take offense to. It's either they agree with it or they don't, right? That's it. And maybe I'm a little bit ruthless about it, okay? So those are all of the questions. Hope you guys found these answers informative. Again, sometimes I answer questions in nuances, right? Sometimes I'm not like a saint by any means, but I always just try to give my point of view and my views on things, and just giving you guys more information, in which hopefully will give you more clarity as to what you need to do. But at the end of the day, the decision is on your hands, right? And it's important for you to put your level of self-awareness and understanding of your both unconscious and conscious decisions, so that you make the decisions in your life in the way that's going to be the healthiest and most sustainable one in your life as a man. Because relationships are one of the biggest components of mental health and the downfall of mental health, right? Breakups, divorces, women who cheat, right? Women who cheat on their husbands and things like that, women who manipulate you. When those things happen, that can derail a man's life. And so relationships, having quality relationships, are extremely important to a man's life and mental health, okay? So if you like this video, or this video somehow made you realize that mental health is actually extremely important, or that you had some sort of epiphany with some of the answers I give you, that is honestly my main mission with starting this platform. It's to open up a community and platform that is going to normalize the topics of men's mental health specifically, and all of the different polarizing, sensitive, vulnerable topics in which a lot of you guys don't talk about, because you end up, honestly, you've suffered in silence for a long time. And as a therapist, I think it's one of the biggest topics in which we see in practice as a big blind spot in our everyday lives as well as practitioners. And so guys, as advocates of mental health, men's mental health is a huge aspect and component that is kind of getting derailed in our society. So please put yourself first, right? If you are looking for therapy and you are curious about our therapy program, you can click the link in below and you can fill out that form. And if we can see that we can help you in some such sort of way, okay, we'll reach out to you. Just fill out that form. Please do me a favor. We're trying to grow this community. Hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we'll let you know when our next video is going to be up, okay? And comment down below, what did you learn? Were there any aspects of this video that kind of brought you an epiphany? Love you guys all, and I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, bye. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily, and YouTube where we post weekly.